And we're back with WAAAGH Tactics to talk about the data slate with a live reaction. Let's get into it, boys. Let's get stuck in. Whoa! All right, boys. So everybody's been wondering, everybody's been gazing into the stars as to what's to come for the Orks. Well, right off the bat, let's take a look real quick. We got the battle wagon is down 25 points. That is freaking ridiculous. If you've been watching the channel, you know the battle wagon has already been viable. It's a great transport, multi-purpose, but let's keep going. We got the hunter rig. Hunter rig coming down 10 points. Doesn't throw it into a place where I'm going to find it as too viable, too loving. But I'm there for it. I'm here for it. What I'm much more here for is the kill rig, right? The kill rig coming down 30 points. That's freaking outrageous. We all know the kill rig. Let's go just get into it real quick. It works in almost every phase of the game. In the movement phase, it transports. In the shooting phase, it auto hits. In the charge phase, not only can it possibly do melee from doing a tank shock, do damage from the tank shock, but it also does melee once it does get the charge off. Not as well as it actually supports units by giving them +1 strength, possibly lethals. So really the way you can look at a kill rig, if it has a 10-man unit of beast snaggle boys in it, if the boys have a beast boss or a pain boss, you can look at it as a unit that can act independently of the wall, because you can push that snaggle boy up into a higher strength range where it can hit more elite infantry. You can run in there and actually throw Moral C on the objective with the support of the beast snaggle boys to maybe dislodge a Necron unit in place, even if you don't outright kill it. Right. And then on the wall, you can present it something else and actually complete that kind of push on that side of the battlefield or later in the game. So the kill rig is looking really spicy. I mean, we know there's a bunch of different factions that are going to come into play here, boys. So let's keep looking at the buggies, though. I know the buggies, you guys are mostly down on them, and that's because you should be. They're pretty bad data sheets. The only one I really want to point out here is the indirect buggy, as the record struck buggy going down some points. It's, you know, you can throw it on your list if you're dealing with some power armor issues and you lack maybe some knobs, or you can't get your hands on certain models that are maybe more meta. And the shock jump Dragsa, I can actually see people throwing that on the list, right? Just keep in mind, like I always mention, guys, Orks are almost always giving up Assassinate or Bring It Down. Don't do both unless you're a skilled enough player to try to avoid giving up Assassinate on the actual battlefield with your movement and kind of baiting people into that, right? But that's more of a high-level skill. So I just advise for general players, try not to build into both, because you might give the enemy too much of a direct game. So when you're thinking about adding shock jump Draxus to your list, so you can do that indirect, the secondary game, just know that you're probably giving up more Bring It Down, and you probably already give up Assassinate. So one thing we can talk about here is the killicans. Killicans going down in significant in points, guys. I love to see it. We all know that they actually come with the 3 damage profiles that we really want to see in shooting and in melee. Just a few weaknesses I still want to point out, sir. And I understand their abilities of being able to ignore cover on a 2+. That's actually quite great as well because of their AP. It just throws it over the top against high armor saves. But I just want to point out the couple weaknesses so we're all on the same page here. They still move quite slow. They have bad leadership qualities. So if they start to take losses, or if you're dealing with Tyranids, which are already one of our more difficult matchups, you start taking kind of a issue there as well, right? And they do everything on 4 in both phases. So I'm not saying that anybody that's looking into killicans as a direct change from the squigs is horrible. I'm just saying, remember, you're also giving up Bring It Down points then again. So a lot of players are looking at this as Orc players and saying, hey, here we go. I can see a lot of vehicle lists coming up on here. I'm not against you by any means. Let's just keep in mind, maybe you got to start cutting down your characters. Keep in mind that Beast Boss on Squigglesaur and Maz are definitely going to give away big Bring It Down and Assassinate as well. If you're skilled enough and you don't care because you can try to avoid giving up those characters, that is on you. So what we're going to talk about is why I'm so high on the battle wagon and the kill rig. All right, so we could just go straight into that. So when you look at the battle wagon, it just comes in at a great defensive profile, as it can get up to toughness 12, reduce AP with its built-in armor of contempt. We all know our cover is kind of easy to get. Space Marines, Leagues of Voltan, took kind of and Eldar, sorry, took really pretty devastating the debuffs. You know, some good nerfs. Chaos Marines took a pretty big good nerf as well. You know, we're not going to be getting alpha striked so horribly, and if we do, it's going to take more resources from the enemies than they would actually like to give it to us downrange. So I would not be so against getting destroyed in your transport and being so terrified, considering that the kind of staging the battle wagon presents you and board presence is quite overwhelming for certain armies that really can't pop our transports. Not to mention you can still fill trucks on the battlefield. And some people are already looking into running a rig and a battle wagon or double battle wagons for that real board control. We know the Sean Naden's list is exactly gone down 5 points. It's almost exactly the same list. And he's already using the battle wagon, staging with it, using the boys with the wall banner to get up the field and take the midboard presence. Crazy OC. Now, what if you use the kill rig on the other side of the battlefield? Not that you're lacking squigs, because you still need that devastating wounds that way you can jump through some kind of monsters and vehicles. You still have the kill rig, so you can actually stage with that unit as well. And it's because it's gone down so many points. It's actually more viable, because we have to keep in mind, guys, that our actual problematic matchups, according to data and what we've seen through tournament results, actually got a bit stronger, right? Death Guard actually got a bit stronger in some ways. We still have to keep an eye out for what they can do. Imperial Guard actually retained a lot of their strength, and I think some stratagems went up, which we'll go way more into this on Friday, you guys, about what I'm talking about with what armies are going to become more difficult for us now, which ones we got to keep an eye out that are going to be on the cusp of being challenging, right? A lot of people are looking at Necrons, but we already do quite great into Necrons. So how are we going to change our list to keep contesting Necrons in a viable way, yet jump into these new matchups and being able to really take down somebody like Tyranids, who they've taken some nerfs, yet they're still going to be quite present on the battlefield and already a quite tough matchup for us. And the only one that I can really see here that we might have thrown over the edge is Leagues of Votann. They might have taken enough nerfs, throw us at a 50-50 ratio. Yet, if you look on the other side, something we might not see coming are Grey Knights. Grey Knights have great anti-infantry capability. So if we tend to go more towards our mobs, more towards our infantry, Grey Knights might end up having a better matchup into us, because we're already on the 50-50 cusp. Again, you have Custodians. Custodians took got a bunch of buffs as well with their point reductions. They're already a problematic matchup for us because they have fight first. They have great defensive capabilities. They have great ability to throttle at that good, actually against us is a good strength of 7. They can get lethals. They can do whatever they need to do to fight us and actually get over the top in damage and take that kind of initial wall phase from us, right? So and they also have the ability to blast our mobs off the field. Their Terminators have great ability to get rerolls when they have a character in that unit, which obviously our Naboo WAAAGH banner units will have them and such. So a lot of the time, not Custodians were getting destroyed before they got up to us in the top tables. We might end up meeting them again, and they can give us some challenging matchups if you guys don't get reps into them or consider them in your play. The one thing to consider is they are really happy that they can take Dev Wounds now into their Feel No Pains. Yet us as Orc players, we didn't really consider Dev Wounds in that matchup. So we're going to go all up into this on Friday, guys. So be sure to ask your questions. Be sure to ready to kind of converse about that on Friday. I'm going to have someone else here, Vox from the Ops, that actually plays Grey Knights, Dark Eldar, Necron. So me and him have gone back and forth about this and how this is going to go as well. So we're going to be able to get straight into that, have some really good contesting conversations back and forth, because a lot of people are saying, yeah, Squig's going up that many points still viable. Yes, it's still viable. Yeah, you've taken away here and there chunks of us that were already on the list with, right? You've taken the Chucks, put them a little bit more. Knobs, just a little bit more. And it doesn't really hurt us in a lot of different lists. Yet, if you were running Squig Hog Boys, throwing on that extra 30 points on top of the other 5, 10, 15, 20, you've now added enough to make us drop a Storm Boy unit. Are we really running the same list anymore? A lot of the time, my list, I believe, went up 85 to 110 points, some of the points to some of the lists I ran. Yet, if you look at the list that were running Battle Wagons or Mobs of Boys and Beast Snaggle Boys, those lists actually went down or stayed just around the same. So I'm really not mad about that. And I think Orc players should be happy that Maz didn't get hit, Grotz didn't get hit, Flash didn't get hit, Knobs only got a little flick on the wrist. They really just kind of stung out Squig Hog Boys, which we seen coming, and they flick trucks on the nose again. But before you guys get overly confident and overwhelmed saying, yeah, we were at that good threshold, remember, our tough matchups are still our tough matchups. And actually, if anything, they might have gotten a little stronger. And they might have lost their predators. So we might actually see our natural enemies a little bit more at the top tables. Now, these are just my initial thoughts. I'm going to get more into it on Friday. We're going to have more predictions. Be sure to, argue with me, contest with me based off what I say. This isn't a almighty praise. This is I'm shouting out to the WAAAGH community. Let's see what you guys got to say as well, right? Because a lot of people feel different ways about where this is going to go. I can see a lot of people are really excited. A lot of people are like, man, I lost half of the best list that we're running because our internal codex is quite weak, right? As in the internal balance is quite weak. And if you really look into what's been happening already, Gazgul was already viable. Gazgul might have become over the top viable because you need the Beast Snagga boys to actually go off on the turn that they go off as well if they run up for board presence, or we really go into the boy mobs and a bunch of different boy mobs that we can think of, whether they have pain boys in them, pain bosses and beast bosses in them, or the war bosses still in them. So everybody, I'm very, very happy about rigs, really happy about battle wagons. Orks are in a good spot overall, but let's talk about it a little bit because I'm going to be here for a bit to talk back and forth with you guys. Ask your questions now. Give me some ideas and contestations for Friday, and then we can get really deep on this because I'm feeling good about Orks. Yeah, I'm always going to be weary. I'm going to plan for the worst and hope for the best because that's how you're ready for war. Because a lot of people say that men win battles, but logistics win wars, right? And Orks are the masters of logistics, low key. People forget that. So, whoa, thoughts on Battle Wagon and Kill Rig more viable? I said that, yeah, they're definitely viable. Kill Rig is a multi-phase model, no matter what anybody thinks, because it's just toughness 10, doesn't have a built-in invuln. If people throw that much damage into something that has a 6-up feel no pain, it can swing on its head. It could end up surviving. Or for boys, just disembark. Make sure they disembark somewhere they can be safe. You might end up getting Kareen, actually utilize that whole movement up the field and then disembark. So don't be so weary just because you do the math and the Centurions can one-shot your Kill Rig, okay? There's a lot of more things going on in the battlefield and other matchups that are going to come into play where being able to give your own Beast Snagga boys +1 strength or maybe even knobs +1 strength is going to be awesome. So Kill rigs are great. Battle wagons have great durability. People already ran 2 units of battle wagons plus 2 units of boys with feel no pains built into them with the ability to fall back and charge, or battle wagon banner knobs. So if anybody's already on the cusp of running those things, lean into it, be strong on it, and remember the Death Killer War Trike is always kind of good for early board presence, early board scoring. You can take objectives from people with it being OC3, being able to displace a Rhino and storm hostile objective essentially early on if you get it for luckily, because you're like, oh, this guy has 3 LC, sorry. So well, it looks like we are going to need to crump some more Necron gets. Yeah, we are. We already do a great matchup into them. So it's like, okay, if you guys Necron see them coming, Necrons pump down our enemies, go beat up Custodes for us, and we'll handle you guys real quick on the side. So Squig Hog seemed like a harsh. 10 points would have been more reasonable. Yeah, GW went really deep into it. They just really want us to use other things. I was always a fan of the Beast Boss on, the Knob on Smasher Squig with Edwapa Skill Choppa. Looks like Beast Boss on Squigosaur might find his way into a bit more lists because it's a better way to get the enhancement on the list. People have asked me, how do I feel about a Knob with 3 boys? If it has Edwapas, you can still trade out and exchange with a couple different monsters here and there. Just keep in mind, once you lose 1 or 2 of those squigs, that unit has lost so much viability in its combat. Therefore, you might end up bouncing, and you might have regretted just not going into the durability of a Beast Boss and Squigosaur instead. So they're still very viable for your fill Beast Bosses. Beast Bosses get charge reroll the Beast Boss and Squigosaur. Yeah, you get charge rerolls. Yes, you do. Also, there's great potential to just automatically destroy Necron units by utilizing Gaz's lethal ability with Beast Snagga boys and a Beast Boss in 1 unit. Especially if you're going into maybe like Catans, for example. You could just get into multiple Catans. Maybe you're using a 20-man unit of Beast Snagga boys because you're a crazy git. A 10-man unit's also good too. But giving 5s Unbridled Carnage, re-rolling those hits, maybe giving your Kill Rig, giving it an additional +1 strength might matter for wounding different, not Catans, but different vehicles on 5s instead of 6s. That way it's not useless for your Beast Boss to go on there by himself. Because before, the Beast Boss could have a good chance of taking a chunk out of an enemy unit, and you were just like, all right, well, that was good enough. Yeah. Now you have to keep in mind, you're not going to have all those squigs on the battlefield to come up and finish him off or hold him in place. So you might have to think, man, I need this guy to come in, and this Beast Snagga boy unit might need to actually help punch out these small trading units with that 1 shot by getting the Beast Snagga boys to a higher strength threshold and utilizing lethals from Gaz. And it might sound wild right now, but give it a shot and you'll understand what I'm saying. So, oh, we have Edwin Cho as a new member. So, whoa, for Edwin Cho. Let's go, boy. So, let's see. He had glad Maz didn't get hit. Yeah, I am. Maz is great. I want to put him and Gaz on a list. Feels really good to me every time I've run it. So, Battle Wagon was good before. Now it's just great. Plus, it's a fun transport for gas. I don't really like putting. I agreed. I've always agreed that gas can go in there, but I don't like to throw gas in there. I just rather put boys in there. It feels really good for put boys in there. So I'd rather have 2 units of Ludus than 1 unit of 5 flash kits. Oh, okay. I'm not going to argue with you, but I will say 1 unit of Ludus can be using for, put in reserves and come in and do a secondary, I guess, right? So we have the new Drakari detachment, D-Lance, our transport and play sustained on disembark for massive anti-infantry Daka. Yeah, Drakari is going to be one of those tough matchups we're talking about on Friday that it might just appear out of nowhere. Being able to, Orks don't like to play against other armies that have good transports and dismounting capability to skirmish with you, and that's exactly what's coming up on the field here. We don't really want to see that, and like you said, they do have the anti-transport weapons to just destroy our trucks. So having a more durable transport, not letting it reliably pop our trumps might make a difference. And having a larger transport, that way you can disembark further away from the charging unit, might make a difference too, instead of just relying just on trucks. But that's also where putting boys on your unit and your battle wagon might be cool too, for running out, fighting objectives, getting in skirmishes, and not having to throw away big expensive knob units or tough knob units. And you can just throw boys into these small Eldar units if you guys are going back and forth on these trades too. So we're gonna have a lot to talk about on Friday. But thank you for throwing things at me right now, because we're gonna go for maybe 15 more minutes and such, which will be you guys got to say, and then Friday we can get even more on our way. So I honestly have seen Grotz catching a nerf. Glad they didn't. I was always on the fence of if they would. I didn't feel like they would, but I'm glad. I'm really, really glad they didn't, because even the other day, my Grotz charged into a dreadnought, and I was just like, yeah, well, I want to OC. Sorry, bro. You all that punching for nothing. Necron weights are way too OP, except for Orks, right? Besides against Orks, like I was saying, Beast Snaggle boys with that volume of punches, especially if they're getting lethals, go crazy into rates, and you don't even have to trade out for squigs in that case. You can continue with avoiding that kind of nerf. So I like the kill rig, like I'm saying. Does this channel have a Discord? Yes, we have a Discord and we have a Facebook. So shout out to that. So like and subscribe if you want to be a part of the Great WAAAGH. And of course, always try to catch a free channel membership if people throw it out there, or if you guys give them out, whatever it be, because you guys become a runt, become a boy, a squig. I'm appreciate all you guys. So right here we got Jay Hoon, let's go, Jay Hoon, for the 2-month shout out. We got double rig, let's go. Whoa, yeah, for sure, dude. I'm really into double rig is somewhere to be. People might think, I can pop it with these laser cannons and other. Yes, you can definitely pop it, but I'll have more, plus the trucks that are staging, plus whatever other things I have on the field. Like I said, as for Death Killer War Trike, a lot of people think, well, they're just gonna shoot on my kill rig. Are they? Or are they gonna go for the Death Killer War Trike that's stealing their objective, and they actually have a line of sight for that, right? So, here we go. We got Brandon. Brandon, I actually want to shout this out. So Brandon said, anyone seriously talking about running some cans now? Actually, yes. A lot of people are already looking at cans because they have that that toughness threshold. They have good amount of ablative wounds. If you guys want to know what that means, it just means that for the wounds that are actually in the points value are split between multiple models, right? So we'll say a battle wagon has a 160 points for 16 wounds. So you're paying X amount of points per wound. This is how much you're paying for the killer cans. Yet they've been split between multiple models. That means that enemies throw their anti-tank las cannons into them, they can lose damage in between those ablative wounds, which is in its own sense a different kind of durability, right? But you just got to keep in mind it gets slow. So just there are weaknesses into it, but know your meta. If there's a lot of things running around that are jumping over that T9, or they can just quickly take angles and not get in range of the killer cans, or make them -1 to hit again on top of they're already hitting on 4s. Maybe that's not your flow right now. And that's okay, because there's a lot of other options. A lot of them are looking like infantry right now, though. So keep in mind for those enemies that are good against infantry. So now that Snazwigan is super cheat, I guess I'm going to get a second one. There's no reason not to, just because it's an orc unit. Why wouldn't you do it? So we got Straw Hat. We got 10 or 5-man knobs. What do you think, boss? Ooh, that's where I'm kind of like, I don't know, man, because I'm always been a fan of a big scalpel unit, as I really like just dislodging some units. When I get into a custode unit, for example, I want those 10 knobs so I can pop Unbridled Carnage. If Gaz is on my list, they're going to enjoy those lethals from Gaz. So I like to invest in when I need that punch from those power claws, it's in the way. Yet, if you're looking at a different list that's looking for more board control and just a couple more activations, you can run the 5-man unit. So both are still viable. 5 points actually just puts us back where we were before the last Dataslate. So pretty much when the index first came out, this is where knobs were on points. People didn't know that. So knobs were already great back then. They're just slightly less great now, but still great. Truck nerf is fine. Mind transported knobs, mega knobs, nerfing, all of them hurt. What can go in them now? So I'm actually still okay with mega knobs, their points, and like I said, knobs are in them now. Yet, what? Well, people have already been running different units in them of mega knobs, burner boys. You can put a big unit of flash, of course, flash kits, big unit of flash kits. I'm actually a fan of 3-man units of mega knobs. If you're looking for this odd kind of SWAT team skirmish where you put 5 knobs with big choppas, and then you put 3-man unit of mega knobs with kill saws or power claws. That way you have this kind of, okay, I have the volume of punches from the knobs and the still good enough strength, but yet I have the durability. You have to kind of stand here for a little bit, take a counter charge or a move block with these mega knobs, and the AP to maybe destroy transport, maybe surround an enemy transport, because the SWAT team has the capability to do that, where it has more units in it compared to an enemy transport, where usually it has like a 5-man unit in it, and that's why Orks are just better transports as a whole. So SWAT teams are really good at that. Any kind of mixture of burner boys, 5-mans, maybe a mega knob unit or 5-man knobs. So, and boys are always good in trucks, dude. Just a straight up 5-man unit of boys are always good in trucks. So, let's see. Oh, what is this? He says, as a new player, the Squig oh, sorry. As a new player, the Squig Hog hit hurts a bit with plans to build around it, but the Codex is still coming out, giving him a glimmer of hope. Yes, of course. And I like to always say, keep building that. Maybe put it a little bit on the wayside for the painting. Build up more of those kill rigs, those beast snagger boys. Look at that pain boss, for example. He might be an interesting concept for you if you're using the hunter rig and you really just want to stick to that box that you just got. So, of course, jump into the Discord, tell people what you kind of got. Sometimes we do our community streams. If you get in on that, you might be able to throw me a shout out to one of the lists you have or what you got, and I can give advice there. So there's always advice all about our Great WAAAGH. And kill rigs are up for sale. I mean, as in the game, you can put them on the board. So don't be super disheartened. Being a new orc player is actually quite difficult. So take pride in yourself for taking on a challenging faction, but it's really, really rewarding faction in 40k. So lots of great names in here. What's up with that? Well, we're lacking members, so it's okay. People are maybe just new because they're kind of appearing to us. We do lives multiple times a week. We do breakdowns of orc lists that are doing great in the meta. And just orc lists that are exciting for us, and then some tactics every Friday as well if we can. So if people are new, that's where they're at. But yeah, that's why they're probably not green lad, because they're probably new, or they just don't have any memberships up right now. You know what I'm saying? It just happens. So let's go. We got Whoa from Lance Steele. Let's get those. Oh, okay, Lax Boy for the Green Tide. Man, I'm so happy they didn't get they didn't buff the death threat because I'm so good. Sarcasm. Yeah, for sure, dude. The death threat is still sitting there like, whoa. Oh, look, he's still waiting out. He's still horrible. But I've seen people do all right with it. It's not that great. I'm still gonna say it's pretty terrible, especially because killicans are way better now. So loving the battle wagons. Yeah, shout out to Blake. Hopefully I see you soon at the GT. Just finished up a game and you still loving the battle wagons. Yeah, for sure, dude. Battle wagons have already been where it's at. Dropping up for 30 points. This goes like, hey, makes it for the truck cost, and I just keep going. They nerfed Squig Hog boys to make us all our Christmas boxes instead of just building the hogs. That's a great point, right? They were just like, build the rest of the stuff. So I know even me, I was like, well, maybe do I want more beast snagger boys? No, but I'm good right now. I have like 20 built, painted, and such, and primed, and and base. So I'm just good with that. Whoa, for the beats bun. Let's go, boy. I just wanted to say that. So we got Steven. I hope points stay like this when the new codex is out and you make new boys the size of Redemptor Dreadnought 1. Yeah, that's hilarious. But we'll see how they look. Things can be swapped on their head, get flopped on their head. But GW's been doing quite good with most of the books. Everybody should feel really good. Orks have a bunch of different model lines. They like us for the most part. We're supposed to get new models, at least maybe new characters. They're looking at us in the lore. So we're getting a lot of love from GW. Nobody should be pessimistic about our codex, regardless of what other factions have been going on and what they've been saying. Our faction as a whole is known for always being happy, regardless of what's going on in the far-flung future of 40k, right? Because there is always whoa. So yeah, boys. So that is what we're going to talk about. We're going to look forward to for this upcoming season. Orc matchups have been kind of flipped a little bit here and there, and who's going to become our harder ones, who's going to be the meta bullies, who's going to be the kind of factions that we actually have to kind of mess our lists up for and change what data sheets are appearing in our new archetypes, because the Squig Hog Boy archetype, at least the spamming of them, is just out the window. So running a big brick with Head Wappa Skill Choppa is definitely going to be all right. As for anything outside of that, I definitely have to consider what the rest of your list looks like and what meta you're really trying to go into. So look at the boys. Snagaboys, battle wagons are great. Kill rigs are going to be where it's at with that multi-phase activations. And Gaz is still looking spicy to me, depending on your meta as well, right? If you really need those lethals, he's amazing. If you really need that damage 4, he definitely helps. If you really like that AP, it's cute. So everything's good about that. Don't sleep on Mega Knobs either, because Mega Knobs have that good toughness. Now they have the ability to get hard as nails, because no one's going to use them on the Squig Hog boys if they're not on your list. So you can now reliably think, hey, Mega Knobs might be where I'm getting this hard as nails going off more, or just paying for a Big Mech with custom force field. We've been seeing people do great with Mega Knobs as well. So don't be shy on looking at your Mega Knobs if your killer cans are looking a little bit too blocky or slow. And trucks are still fine with that. You know, they'll appreciate not taking the increase from knobs. So I hope points stay like this. Oh, sorry, I just said that. Whoop. I wish they would have fixed tank buses with this data sheet. Guess we'll have to wait for the codex. Yeah, they just need such a different change that they might just be like, well, the codex is coming out, throw those guys out the window. We've seen them do some interesting things with Drakari and other factions. So yeah, I'm not afraid of it, but tank buses need to change, and they might become an amazing SWAT team unit. So don't be down on that. Should Ewap's Kill Chopper be put on Beast Boss and Squigosaur by default now? Unless you're running a big 6-man unit, I would say kind of yes. Because a 3-man unit is just not where it's going to be, in my opinion. You'll take Overwatch, you'll take losses, and then you'll lose that, in my opinion. So if Beast Boss and Squigosaur just looks like a direct good trade for that, and you know, there's going to be different things that are going to be coming out from this. I mean, Beast Boss and Squigosaur might become interesting because he can withstand a Dark Eldar charge, and then you have Maz somewhere using them as different anchors or doubling down on anchors too. So we'll just see how this is looking as a whole in our faction. I really want to look at I want to look at what the rest of the factions are going to be going through and how they're feeling too, get a little bit more conversations going on list building. So I was at work when this was going on. I was talking on Discord, shot until he gets out. So I really like where this is going, but I'm always a little bit apprehensive because I like to be prepared. By the way, the 1-0 errata at the bottom of the rules commentary, those old changes, right? They were the red? Yeah, I think they were. Yeah, I think they were. So yeah. Well, all right, you gets. Just keep in mind that Friday we're doing this. We're going to have a guest. He's going to play those opposite factions. We're going to be able to go back and forth on ideas. You guys can argue with me, tell us where you're at. A couple of us can get games in now so we can get our actual firsthand anecdotal experiences, and we can maybe just get a better feeling for the rise of the green tide, because the rise of the green tide is here. Gets don't be scared. Just ride that wave. But there's one thing to keep in mind. Don't cross our wall, because we knock your teeth out.